Over the past few years, we've talked several times about Donald Trump and his campaign's unwillingness to pay cities for the protection and services they provide for his rallies and events and things like that. Now, more time has passed, so surely he must have made good on those bills by now. Apparently not. Joining us now to provide an update on this story, editor-at-large for the Center for Public Integrity, Dave Leventhal. Welcome back to the Damage Report.
Hey, good to be with you, John.
Good to have you here. So this is something that we've talked about before. Can you provide our viewers who might not know about some of this, some of the numbers we're talking about here?
And indeed, it's not a new story, but there's a lot of new context in the sense that first reported and had an investigation into this matter last year, in June of last year. There was about $840,000 worth of police and public safety bills across 10 different municipalities around the country that had hosted Trump rallies. They went to the Trump campaign. The Trump campaign never paid them. And these cities, as you could imagine, were not too happy about that. Flash forward to this past April. We're in the midst of the COVID-19 crisis, the coronavirus crisis. Many of these cities, already cash-strapped, are feeling just that much more pressure financially and are basically saying, hey, look, Trump, you came to our town, gave you lots of police services, public safety services. You never paid the bills that we sent you. We really need that money now more than ever. Right now, it's $1.8 million across 14
Wow.
cities that Donald Trump's campaign is on the hook for. And so it's basically more cities, more money, but the same story from the Trump campaign, which is we are not going to pay those bills because, in their opinion, they don't feel like they should have to.
Yeah. And $1.8 million for you and me, that might be an impossible sum to pay, but theoretically, he says that he is a billionaire. He could write a check to pay off that amount today, which, especially in the context of a pandemic, would certainly look good. Just to be clear, while not every politician pays these bills, it is generally the case that they do reimburse cities for these services, right?
It's a sticky situation because you've had in the past some Democrats and some Republicans running for president who will these bills receive from different municipalities for police services. The case that they typically make is, well, look, if we're coming to a town and we're causing some tumult and we're causing services to be diverted to our rally, to our event, then yeah, sure, we're going to help those cities out. The other side of the story, and this is what we hear from the Trump campaign, and also to the Obama campaign and the Clinton campaign had not paid some bills, at least in the past, is that, hey, look, this is not something that the campaign is on the hook for. The Secret Service coordinates security. The Secret Service coordinates police protection. So as a result, with the Secret Service. Well, we talked to the Secret Service. What did they say? They said, well, we asked these municipalities for the help. We get the help, and but we don't get money from Congress appropriated to us to reimburse the municipalities. So it's this weird catch-22, John, that nobody really wants to take responsibility, but the cities themselves, the local governments, they're the ones holding the bag in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, we should understand that while, a campaign is going on, we expect that, politicians are going to have events, especially if it's a presidential campaign. But Donald Trump has been sort of unique in holding these massive rallies really outside of the normal sort of structure of an election. And so if you're going to go to these extra lengths to have these sorts of events, it would seem to be clear, seem to be a wise decision, especially when you're constantly touting how supportive of law enforcement you are and how supportive they are of you, that he would go the distance, at least, and pay this back. Do we know if, in all the time that you've been reporting on these stories, especially now with these cities saying we need this money, especially in the context of a pandemic, have there been any successes in getting reimbursement?
The only time that cities have been able to get Donald Trump's campaign to pay for one of these events is when the event is being conducted at a city-owned facility. So sometimes Donald Trump will come and he'll come to a convention center or an arena that's owned by a city government, in which case they can, Trump campaign, sign here on the dotted line, we want the money up front when you rent this facility. But oftentimes Donald Trump is going to a privately owned facility or going to a facility that may be owned by a city but managed by a third party. In that case, the cities actually have very little leverage to be able to compel Donald Trump's campaign or any campaign, the Biden campaign, be it what it may, to pay up. So that's where it can get technical, but it can also just really determine whether a city is going to get the money or not.
And it seems like the cities might be sort of learning this lesson. You found evidence that some are not even billing anymore. They're not even bothering to try to get the money.
Yeah, that's true. And every different city has a different way to approach political campaigns and presidential campaigns. In particular, that they just say, well, all right, we can't stop Donald Trump from coming to town, but we're also not going to go through the rigmarole of trying to bill his campaign and then get rejected and then send follow-up letters or demand letters. So that can be very time consuming and expensive in and of itself. But you made a good point just a moment ago, John, about the size of the Trump rallies. The reason why some of these bills are so huge is because the rallies themselves are so huge and will attract 10,000, 15, 20,000 people in some cases. And also, too, some of the Trump rallies over the past several years, it can get violent. There can be protesters, counter protesters inside the arena. The police are not there to protect Donald Trump. They're there to protect the people who are attending the rally, the people who are protesting the rallies, the people all around who might be around the arena, traffic control and whatnot. So it's a whole operation akin to if you had like a major music concert or you had some VIP or a parade for a sports team. It's really at that level when Donald Trump comes to town.
And, I know that there's been some attempts inside of government to try to get him to pay these bills, but I'm curious, have you seen any indication that it could become a campaign issue? I mean, as we pointed out, he says he's very supportive of police departments, and here he's opting not to be. Have we seen it come up in any mailers or any campaign ads or anything like that?
Yeah, there are some Democrats who are definitely talking about it. In fact, there's a Federal Election Commission complaint that has been filed by Representative Bill Pascrell of New Jersey, a Democrat. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if a super PAC or a nonprofit organization or whatnot who was anti-Trump and uses as a bludgeon against Donald Trump, especially when Donald Trump has a long litany of examples of where he has talked about his support for police, talked about his support for law enforcement. And even at some of these rallies where he wasn't paying police bills in the end, or his campaign wasn't, he would talk about how much he loved police at those rallies in themselves.
Wow.
Yeah, not to give anyone any ideas here, of course, but certainly the facts are out there, and this information is for the having if somebody wanted to use it.
Exactly. And if anyone watching this would like more of this information, some more of the raw data, it is available at the Center for Public Integrity. As always, Dave, thank you so much for joining us. You do great work over there.
Hey, thanks so much, John. Appreciate it.